Hello, I'm Avril Lehman from the Whitewater Group, and today I want to wish you a happy International Women's Day. And this is a celebration that is being more and more observed by people. So whether you're having a day, a week, a month, or maybe even the next year celebrating women, I want it to be a good one. And the slogan for this year is Be Bold for Change, which got me thinking, how do we get change in society? Because it looks like we still need some. How do we get change in our organizations, our cultures, and in our lives? And being bold seems important. But then I was in Atlanta, and instead of going to the attraction of the aquarium, I decided to go to the Center for Human and Civil Rights. And that was eye opening. I spent hours there humbled at what ordinary people had achieved by being bold. And when I looked at how they rode buses that they weren't allowed on and they sat in diners and took abuse, I thought, oh dear, I don't think I'm bold at all compared to them. And I heard a suffragette speak at the weekend, and she talked about having matches and fuel in her pockets because she was going to burn down buildings to draw attention to the fact that women then needed the vote because nobody was listening. And I thought, I'm too much of a goody two shoes. I'm not bold. I'm timid when it comes to breaking the law. And I don't think I'm ever going to be able to go on a hunger strike. So I'm not bold. But the more I looked at it, I thought all change, all true and lasting change, starts from the inside out. It's the only thing we have power and control over are ourselves. How can we be bold for change in our own lives in such a way that we can eventually benefit the world? And there are three things I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you to be bold in your thinking, to be bold in your emotions, and to be bold in your actions. Now, I believe we sometimes make a prison of our own thoughts. If you have a choice as to how you're going to think, would worrying be your first choice? Would pessimism be your first choice? And sometimes people say, well, yes, it's better to expect the worst because then you're never disappointed. You're always miserable, but you don't get any surprises. Actually, we know that optimists do better. They succeed better in everything in life. So there is a real value in thinking constructively. But for most of us, there are those times where we've got an angel and a devil on each shoulder, and one's saying, it'll be fine, and the other one's saying, it's going to be terrible and you'll die. And actually, that's not helpful at all to have that argument going on. And sometimes we have to delve down and think, well, what beliefs do I have that keep spawning these thoughts? And the thoughts that hold us back tend to be ones about not being good enough, about it being too big a job for us, about being too scary. And deep down, we must have a belief that we're really not that great, we're not that good, we're not that strong. So I would say to you, check what your beliefs are about yourself. And then work out where they come from and whether they're really of value. Our beliefs ought to make us better people. If our beliefs diminish us or diminish other people, then they're limiting and they're self-limiting. And why would you put yourself in a prison of your own thinking? So notice your thoughts in the first place. Every time you say, I can't, or gosh, it might be difficult, challenge yourself and think, well, in a sense, what's the worst that can happen? Because yes, you might well fail. That's a way of learning. You might well be embarrassed, but hey, nobody died of that yet. So challenge those thoughts, look at the beliefs that are spawning them, and try to build gradually a more optimistic outlook. Because, in the main, things are getting better. In every day, at the end of the day, we tend to think, oh, I got nothing done. I didn't do that. And we forget to look and think, oh my goodness, I got hundreds of things done. So shift your thinking to be more realistic. Because I think pessimists think they're being realistic. They're not. Realism is much more constructive and positive. At the end of the day, you've done a good job. Think about that and store that up so that you can recognize the next time how well you're doing. And building good beliefs about yourself often comes from having a solid understanding of your strengths. Because we may have gone through life being told what our weaknesses are, from an early stage in our life. But we haven't always built up that value in knowing where we're really good. And your really good is different from mine because we have different strengths. But you know what is all we've got? Drop us into any circumstance, any situation, we play to our strengths. And that's where strong beliefs about yourself need to reside, in that you are a good, strong person and you can use those strengths and you can think constructively about them. So that's be bold in your thinking. It won't happen overnight. We all have to keep working at it for the rest of our lives. And be bold in your emotions. Fear and anxiety stalk our days, often because we say things like, it'll be terrible, or it'll be so embarrassing, or what's the worst that could happen? And we imagine feeling horrendous. Now, usually, it isn't the worst thing that's ever happened, and it might be mildly annoying or mildly disappointing. But if we choose fear and anxiety, we narrow down our resources, our ability to deal with the world. Psychologists know that positive emotions expand our repertoire. So feeling love, joy, interest, all of that expands our world, helps us see possibilities, engage with people, make lasting relationships, and in fact, build more joy. So I'm going to challenge you to find good emotions. Find the joy, the delight in a beautiful day, a sky that looks good. Whatever it is, that you can find reasons to be joyous, it's worth doing it. And find love. We've kind of curtailed love to only be the sexual or romantic sort and have red hearts on it. Finding love in every interaction that we have with a person, however simple, however lowly, however fleeting. Find joy, delight by being loving and kind towards that person. You have no idea what is going on in their lives. I often say there's always pain in the room. We do not know what people are living through. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Be loving towards them. And the other emotion to work on, because I hear especially from women, but it happens to men as well, is confidence. That confidence is a problem. Why would we wake up in the morning and choose not to be confident? It's not a genetic condition. Sure, it's probably caused by the way we've been socialized. And women are often afflicted by this, oh, I don't have confidence. Well, do it anyway and build and plan to become more and more confident by perhaps taking the odd risk because it's a good feeling. And when women say they're not confident, I don't think they're telling the truth, because they're often extremely confident in all sorts of areas in their life, especially if they know their stuff. Where they're an expert, they're always confident, even arrogant. It's when it's new stuff, they're less confident. Well, you've got to get things wrong when it's new because you haven't learned it yet. So being confident and having that strong positive emotion is the very thing that will enable you to make change. So be positive in your emotions. Make the choice when you wake up in the morning. There is always a reason to be positive. Try finding it. And I know that bad things happen. They happen to all of us. But there's still an opportunity for delight in some of the things that we can see around us. And finally, bringing it all together, be bold in your actions. Timidity is such a waste. What is it that we can stand up for? What risks can we take that aren't really very big risks at all, but that we might achieve so much if we just began to take action? And in our lives, sometimes we may think very little about them, but we should in a way be making plans for leaving a wonderful legacy. We're still alive, leaving a wonderful legacy in our life. But if we don't make plans, how do we know where we're going? If we don't take action, if we don't do something today to change our circumstances, then we're accepting that timidity is how things are going to be. So we may not immediately become famous for wonderful actions, but there's something that we can change in each of our lives to reach our own potential, to have our own impact on the world, to bring about bigger, more positive change for the future. And that means that we need to align our thinking to be as constructive as possible, align our emotions to be as positive and joyous as we can be, and to line up that action and to begin the change that we're capable of. So I'm going to ask you to every day just do one small thing, one bold little change in your life. Very small things can make a very big difference. And I'm also going to ask you to think of a bigger thing you're going to tackle and challenge in the next 2 months. And they're for you. They're for your success. So the third thing I'm going to ask you to do is to be bold on somebody else's behalf. Make a difference. Do something bold to help someone else. And in that way, we can all be bold for change together, and it will be impossible to stop us. So happy International Women's Day.